Hey, everybody, welcome to It's Our Podcast Show. On this week's podcast, we're going to be revisiting the topic of EVs again. Yes, that's right. Why? Because gas prices over the last couple of months have been ridiculously high. And plus, my wife is pushing me to get one. Yeah. However, getting an EV is more of a challenge than I thought. So today, we're going to be asking some serious questions with regards to EV, such as the actual price of EVs, waiting times, running costs, repairs, and is it worth getting used or new? So let's dive straight in. So, Stephen, you've been driving the EV for over a year now. So tell us your experience and what's the benefits you've gained from driving an EV, and what's the disadvantages that you've experienced so far?
Well, this is actually my second EV. Actually, no, technically, it's my third electric powered vehicle. So the first vehicle that we purchased was because nothing was available in Canada at the time. There was a lot of scarcity in EVs, but there wasn't a lot of demand. I initially wanted to purchase a 2019 Kia Niro EV. It had 385 kilometers of range. It has seated all five of us. We tested the gas hybrid version of it. We're happy with the way it fit. Unfortunately, we waited 6 months and nothing happened. We couldn't get a vehicle. So we started looking at another vehicle, which was a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and we ended up buying an Optima PHEV. So the Optima is a very popular vehicle in the sedan style, saloon style in the Kia lineup. It looks great. It drives well. It's very popular. And we ended up with one of those. Gives 48 kilometers of full electric range, and the rest is gas. So when you look up what the range is, you get almost 1,000 kilometers.
Right. So you've benefited with the electric vehicle versus a gas vehicle, right? So you save yourself on the gas. Like you said, you bring up the Excel.
Yeah.
And you do all your math.
You
right?
basically bring out the Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I feel that when we purchased that vehicle, we actually made a bit of a mistake. We didn't anticipate, and this is what a lot of people don't anticipate, is that, you have to do oil changes and stuff like that, but there's also other fluids that need to be replaced in a gas electric vehicle, right?
Right.
All the fluids, all the brake fluid, brake pads, there's a lot of filters in there because it's still a internal combustion engine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of checks and tune-ups that need to be done along the way. My biggest shock with that vehicle, and this is why I believe that I made a mistake for sure, is the fact that the 48,000 kilometer service, it was almost $1,200.
So this is a hybrid that you're
This
talking
is a
about, right?
plug-in hybrid.
Oh, plug-in
with
hybrid.
48 kilometers of full electric range.
Okay.
Okay. This is the one that most people are like, hey, this sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I might save some gas. Well, you might save some gas if your commute is within 48 kilometers, which mine was. So that's why it was a good fit on paper. Unfortunately, because you're only saving on gas.
Yeah.
Right? You're not saving on everything
That's true.
else.
That's true. So a car is a mechanical object or a vehicle, moving parts, wear and tear, that kind of stuff. It's going to be repair costs no matter what, whether it's wheels, your suspension, that's all included. The only thing that's different is the actual combustion engine versus a electric motor, right? So that's the two difference. But we'll talk about the differences in more detail about that. So let's on everybody's lists, right? Let's talk about price. I've noticed most EVs are pretty expensive over manual gas cars, right, or normal gas cars. How can you really justify the price? So, what was your take on that?
Well, they can be more expensive, but let's just be perfectly honest here. My plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, the Optima, which was a 2020 model at the time, was $44,000.
That's brand new on the road.
Okay. 44,000, right?
Okay.
If I wanted to purchase the at the time, if I wanted the full electric Niro EV, which I could not get at the time, which that was purchasing in the 2019 timeframe, it was 48.
So there's like a $4,000 to $5,000 difference for that particular model.
Right.
For other brands, it could be more. Give you an example. My wife went to see, I think, Volkswagen, and they had the new ID4, they call it, right? That they have ID5, ID4, and this ID4 I'm not sure the range, but we'll talk about that later on. But the price that they said was starting from 45,000 Canadian dollars, right?
That's right.
But then you add all the options because otherwise it'll just be a basic car, right? So you add all the options. It turns out that you're looking to pay in around about $59,000.
Yeah.
So as a new car versus if you go for a Tiguan or the other Atlas, I think they call it, the SUVs, the prices you can get for about 35,000. So literally, there's a quite a bit of a steep kind of price increase over a normal gas car.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be. And like this goes back to the fact that I thought that my plug-in hybrid would be cheaper because of the gas thing. It actually wasn't. So bring you back a little bit forward here. Like I said, $48,000 versus $44,000. You know what? We could drive this vehicle for now. We could drive this vehicle for now, not understanding that a fully electric vehicle has no gas, has cheap fuel. So you're talking like $30 a month to get 3,000 kilometers. And you're also talking about the fact that there is no maintenance on the vehicle.
Another question.
Almost nearly no maintenance.
Yeah, so no maintenance on the full EV, right?
Yeah.
With the hybrid, of course, you need gas and everything.
Mm.
And we'll talk about that in the next section because I wanted to find a difference between the full EV versus hybrid. Price-wise, I think in certain countries, like you said, in Canada, for example, they have like rebates and things like that. So with the rebates on top or taken out, it's worth considering, right? Because they said if it comes like 45 to say 49,000, with the rebates, you can actually get up to total how much? You tell me.
It's $7,500 for a fully electric vehicle. It's a little bit less for the plug-in hybrid EV that we have. So the rebate was smaller on our plug-in hybrid, but it was still over $5,000 that we saved. $5,000 federally.
Okay.
And then it was like, I think it was $1,000 provincially. So BC gives that additional incentive mainly because they want people to have cleaner vehicles, which is arguable because the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle definitely does use gas. It uses it every 30 days to clean out the gas tank.
Oh, right.
Because if you leave the gas in there, it becomes varnish and it's bad for the engine. So it has to clear itself out. It also uses gas when you accelerate abruptly. It also uses gas when you turn on the heat. So the heat is actually gas powered.
And also when you're on the highway, it uses gas, right? Because
it can use gas over a certain kilometer per hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is true. Like I said, each province will have their own rebate system. I know, for example, in Europe, they have a really good rebate system. If you go electric, they do give you some kind of rebate on that. I think that they are pushing to go towards greener vehicles and things like that. However, but the pushing point was this year. I mean, the gas prices fluctuate so crazy, up and down all over the place. And I think only last week it was like $2.40, right? And
I
it dropped back down.
$2.68 somewhere, and I was like, and people were lining up because they were worried that the gas price would increase even further.
It's crazy.
This was a couple of weeks ago. So I mean, it's weird that when people don't need gas, they buy it when it goes up. They should be buying it when it's down, but they're not. As is the case where everyone panics. Right.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I was talking to my wife about the vehicles, and she's been driving the Tiguan as SUV, and she's spending up to like $200 a month on gas.
On gas. My wife drives almost the equal amount as I do. Her vehicle is at 62,000 kilometers since we got it. She's that vehicle is 2 years older than my current vehicle on the road. So at 36,000 kilometers, she has 60. So that's about right. So like it makes sense. Her tank to fill it is like $120, and it's just a 50-liter tank.
And you probably fill it twice a month, three times a month.
1.5 times a month.
1.5 month, yeah. So you think about it, the amount of money that you spend on gas per month versus the amount of money you pay to charge your vehicle, full electric vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no comparison, right? Is around about $50-$60?
The most I've ever spent, and this is like just the worst possible scenario, worst month, was $71. And it was
Yeah,
well over 3,000 kilometers. I think we did
there you go.
4,500 kilometers.
Versus if you go gas, that would have cost you well over $200+, right?
4,500 kilometers. Let's just do the math. It's an average vehicle, a good one. Let's just say, round off the numbers. It's 10 liters per 100 kilometers.
Mm.
So if we take 10 times two and a half, that's $25 for 10.
Yes, something like that. So you're looking about at least 250.
Yeah,
Right.
for one tank. So your one tank will get you 500 kilometers. So 4,500 kilometers.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It's,
what we
it's,
drive.
it's the monthly running cost of a car, right? Gas car
Correct.
versus the electric vehicle.
The price of an electric vehicle may be expensive, but you rapidly decrease the amount of what you pay every month by simply operating costs. And that's what I didn't think about when I bought the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, the Optima. I did not have the headspace to be like, oh, we can save 48 kilometers. I drive 20 kilometers to work back and forth. I should have 8 kilometers left. No. There's all these other things that factor in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've seen when we were at the showroom, I think it was Mini showroom, they were pushing, pushing us to get the hybrid. Right. And, it sounds good. It sounds good.
Sounds good.
You got the convenience of a gas combustion engine because you can just, put your foot on the accelerator and it'll go because you got the gas. Plus, at the same time, if you're doing town driving in the city, then you could just go on the battery, and stuff like that. And he says, it's you save yourself on the gas, not realizing that I think there must be something more than that. I'm sure.
Of course,
it's saying it right.
Like it's very basic. I don't see the dealer more than once a year.
Yeah,
that's for my annual inspection. In fact, because they require an inspection every 12,000 kilometers on a full EV, I see them every 12,000 kilometers. So I've seen them 3 times in 1 year because I've driven 36,000 kilometers.
Right.
Now let's put that into perspective. And again, $100, $105 per visit. They'll even rotate your tires for you. They just check a bunch of boxes. In comparison, in 36,000 kilometers, that's at least 6 oil changes that they can charge you $89 per visit, plus anything else is needed. You also have certain intervals where they need to do your brakes. They need to do this. They need to do that. I don't do that.
On the full electric vehicle. Right.
It doesn't. These things don't exist.
Yeah.
No filters. No nothing. Only
That's
the
true.
cabin filter is $10.
Okay.
I replace it myself.
Okay. So when we talk back to the actual car price itself, there are different brands. I mean, you got the big brands like Audi, Mercedes, BMW. They're expensive, as you know. The more kind of attractive price range for the vehicles are other brands such as Hyundai. There's also Kia. These are the Korean brands, right?
These are the Korean brands.
And you yourself got a Kia, right?
I drive funny enough, this was the vehicle that I actually wanted, but since then, I got the top trim, which was still within the range because they sell a vehicle that's $48,000, which is at compliance. So I got the top of the range, which was still within the compliance range, and I got both rebates of $7,500. The vehicle itself has a sticker of $55,000.
Oh wow! So really, it would have cost $55,000 for an electric vehicle like such as yours. Okay.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, I bought it at a time where people were not sure what was going to happen with the market. They didn't know anything about this whole gas thing or the Ukraine or anything like that.
Yeah.
So when I purchased my vehicle 13 months ago, I actually haggled. I actually got a deal. I paid $53,000 for it, trading in another vehicle, which I will talk about shortly, which is something that people should be looking at.
Yeah.
And they gave me both rebates, $7,500 off, and 0%
I tell you
financing.
what, Stephen here is the deal haggle master. I mean, the stuff that he gets discounts on, the Samsung thing that you had, right? You got the
you know what?
phones.
I like nice things. I just don't like paying for them. Right?
Or you can get
I
like
just don't like
bargains.
paying for
You
them.
look for bargains and you search out those and you get the deals. I'll tell you what,
I
though.
absolutely do like bargains. I absolutely do like nice things.
Mm.
Again, like one of the things that you may hear from me often is that you buy once,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
save,
That's
right?
true.
You
That's
buy
true.
multiple times, you don't save, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm too cheap to buy. I'm too poor to buy cheap.
yeah.
Is what I would tell people.
Okay. So going back to the brands, Alex said BMW, Audi,
Mhm.
Mercedes, and all that kind of stuff. They're expensive for the EVs. The cheaper
Yeah.
brands are available. In fact, no, they're not available actually. But there's a waiting list. We'll talk about that
Yeah.
in a sec. Are there real differences between like a brand like Audi, Mercedes, and BMW versus the other cars? It's just that you're paying for the name, or you're paying for better technology, or what's the difference between people going for the bigger brands versus the other brand?
It's a little bit of every column. It's like
Right.
luxury,
Mhm.
utility, and performance.
Right.
Right. So one of the going back to you're talking about brands and high end and low end. Well, one of the best entry level vehicles right now, and I still believe that even though I had a bit of a problem with this particular brand, is Chevrolet, GM, and their Chevy
GM,
Bolt.
Chevrolet.
So
Okay,
their
okay.
two current models right now are the Chevy EUC and the Chevy Bolt EV. The Chevy Bolt EUC is actually a larger SUV style vehicle.
Mhm,
That's kind of a mid-sized compact SUV. And then what they would consider the Bolt EV would be like a hot hatch.
Right.
So
Right.
both of them have 200 horsepower. They'll both peel rubber. They go very fast.
Mhm.
The downside of them is the build and quality of materials may not be as good.
Right.
And also, there's no leather or anything like that. It's all,
Just
imitation.
normal fabric and stuff like
Exactly.
that. Okay.
Fabric is used in some of their lower trims, which actually gets people a more affordable vehicle, which I totally believe in. People should be able to afford less expensive vehicles if they can. And GM was pushing that. And that's why I still believe in their vision of what they're doing.
Right.
The other thing, too, is that their Chevy Bolts have lower charging. So lower rates of charging. So that means that this vehicle is more for someone that lives in the city or infrequently goes on road trips, which is probably the majority of people in the lower mainland, right? Road
Right.
trips are probably very few and far between, but they do commute under 100 kilometers. Both vehicles have well over 380 to 400 kilometers of range, depending on the trim level,
Mhm.
which is great, right? So you don't charge every day. You charge every couple of days, maybe, which
Yeah.
is great.
Okay.
Right?
The question I want to ask is like, of course, we heard of Tesla. They
Yep.
for the first electric vehicles and everything, and they got a gigafactory in, I think, is it California or is it in Texas? Anyway, what are
Texas.
those? Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Texas, California.
So they make all the cars there, electric vehicles, Tesla. And what about the other brands? Are there brands made in the US or in Europe? Like, for example, Mercedes, Benz, and BMW, Audi, they're European brand, right?
Yeah.
So are they made in Europe and they're shipped over to Canada and US, or they have manufacturing processes, factories in America, so they can ship those cars out?
Well, we know that Tesla is definitely American made. They're
Yeah.
built in California and Texas, of course, right? But we also have GM, also built domestically in factories in the US. So there's a factory here and the factory in the US. So that gives them the economies of scale.
Right.
One of the few electric vehicles that you can actually put your name on and get within 30 days is actually a Chevy Bolt.
Right. So that brings in the price, because if they're made locally in America, then the price is a lot affordable. Whereas
That's right.
if they're made in Europe, Audi, Mercedes,
Yeah.
and BMW, they got it made in Europe and they're going to ship over to
Taxes,
US and
duties,
Canada.
tariffs,
Yeah, exactly.
etc.
Yeah. So that's why
Part of it,
those
yeah.
brands are more expensive. Okay, so that's kind of price people understand now.
Yeah.
What it's all about.
Don't get me wrong, on the high end,
Yeah.
on the high end, like the Porsche Taycan, the Audis, the new BMWs that are just coming out, they're fantastic vehicles.
Oh yeah.
They're bringing in the electric vehicles that, like, to be perfectly honest, they're not actually astronomically priced. They're about 10K over what the Hyundais are.
I've seen them hitting over 80, 90, 100,000.
Yeah, you can
Canadians,
pay
like,
to get that, but you can also pay to get something more modest as well too. Not factoring in the fact that there is some problems with people scalping things at the moment, right? They're buying them and flipping them.
Yeah.
So you'll see people adding $10,000 to a
It's
price
ridiculous. Yeah.
because you can have it today.
Yeah.
Convenience,
Yeah.
right?
That's
so
true.
let's take that out of the equation long term because this will be a short term thing.
Okay. So with price, I think a lot of people will ask a lot of questions about that. Move on to what we just talked earlier: EVs, full electric vehicles versus the hybrids. Now,
Yes.
I think it's another hot topic on everybody's minds, and
Yeah.
people want to know what the difference between an EV and a hybrid is. Do hybrids offer better driving experience over an EV because you have the option to use gas and electric? Well, tell us more.
Well, there's actually two types of hybrids. There is hybrid. There's basically a hybrid with a mild electric assist, which is like your Prius.
Prius.
Prius. Anything that's labeled hybrid cannot be charged. That means that there's a small battery inside that takes idle cycles,
Right.
charges the battery, and gives it back to you when it's appropriate to optimize your range.
All right. So full hybrid, you can't plug in.
You can't plug in.
You just put gas in only.
That's just
and
the way
the
it
gas uses the combustion engine to charge the internal battery. Okay,
That's
tell
right.
us more. Yeah.
That's right. So there's a very small battery that assists. Some very good hybrid vehicles like the Prius, it will utilize almost 100% battery when there's enough storage at certain speeds, which is most economical. Again, the slower the vehicle goes, the more efficient a electric motor is because it doesn't have to draw very much to move your vehicle, right? When you kick it up, it needs to use more electricity, but you gain range from city driving. Okay, so if you drive a lot in the city, 50 to 60 kilometers, even up to 80, that's going to kick in, that's going to save you gas. So if that's you most of the time, a hybrid will save you a lot of money. But buying new today, you have to think about the price. It's very close in the big scheme of things to the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which is one that we own here. So this type of vehicle, again, it plugs in, but it doesn't use any of the DC fast charging stations along the highway routes. Those are reserved for full EVs, right? So you have a plug that's called the J1772. It's round. It's a little bit bigger than a Tesla plug. And this you find at shopping malls, at community centers. This is basically your level two
To level 2
AC charging.
Right. So the fast
AC
charging is level 3. Did you say right?
Fast charging technically is not level 3. It's called level 3 because people want it to be called level 3.
Right.
But to set the record state, it's actually DC fast charging because it's direct current.
DC
They're
fast
not
charging.
actually the same.
Right.
AC and DC.
All right, so DC fast charging for most of the full electric vehicles,
Yes.
and then the Type 2, like you said, is
Level
for a lot of the parking lots and shopping malls. Okay, so
And
use those
full
to
EVs
plug
can
into
also use
the
those.
charge plug-in. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us how it works. So you got plug-in, yeah.
So you got
And
a
then
plug-in
gas?
electric vehicle, and then you got gas. So gas will use gas, right? It's what we're all used to. Plug-in. We've also got hybrid, mild assist, gives you a few kilometers here and there, because in the city, gas vehicle is least efficient, right? That's where you get the worst economy, right?
Yeah.
But the electric, very efficient in the city at lower speeds. Then you got the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which will assist you as much as possible, all the way up to 100%, even on the highway, to get you to your destination. Usually ranges between 48 to 70 kilometers in most plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, right? Enough for a commute.
Okay, so this would be great, for example, if you're driving in the city. Okay, so it's for hybrid electric. Okay, and say if you go into another province and it's like 800 miles, 900 miles away, then a gas combustion engine then takes over. Would be probably
gas
the best.
combustion engine will take over the majority of the time because you're bombing it on the highway.
Yeah.
One place where I discovered a huge advantage is that when you're in the mountains, when that electric motor kicks in, because it is not affected by any loss in oxygen, it will propel you past any vehicle that thinks that they're better than you.
Right, because combustion engine needs oxygen to burn the
That's
fuel,
right.
right? And then
That's right.
with electric or battery, a part of the hybrid, it just uses the battery in
Yes.
the boat to drive the motor. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun to drive a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle or a hybrid in the hills because it takes off because it knows that it's needed. Right? It assists the gas motor, right? Even more so in the plug-in hybrid electric because you can actually reserve your charge on most vehicles until you need it. So you're in the mountains. Oh, great! I'm climbing up this hill. Oh, it's feeling a little sluggish.
Yeah.
You're utilizing that electric range.
Do you think because plug-in hybrid is something I found pretty new because I didn't even know about it, and all I knew there was like hybrids, like the first part you were talking about.
Most people don't.
Gas goes into the car. Use the engine to charge the battery. That's the hybrid, right? The first earlier version of the hybrids.
That's right.
The plug-in hybrid is something new. Only found out late last year because hold on, you can actually plug the cable to charge the battery as well as just use gas normally if you wanted to. So you got the option.
You do.
Okay. With that, do you think there's going to be a lot more of this hybrid plug-in vehicles on the road, or do you think it's just a phase that people step in just to kind of get in for them to on the path to full EV? What do you think?
Well, I'm going to approach it from two angles. Number one, my personal experience was that I purchased the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle mainly because we wanted a vehicle that would save us money overall. I was wrong. It has all the downsides of a gas vehicle, including all the repairs, all filters, everything like that, the maintenance. It saves a little bit of gas on the commutes. It still uses gas to heat your vehicle in the winter. Right.
Okay.
So overall, your gains are actually quite low. And the way that you charge it, which is with a level 2 AC charger, those are the things that you find at malls, but those are not the things that you find when you go on long road trips because those chargers are normally DC fast chargers.
Right. Okay.
So you can't even charge when you're on the road trip until you get to a mall. So if you wouldn't want to.
If you look at it from an electric perspective, EV perspective, full EV perspective, the benefits or the negatives, I would say, disadvantages outweigh kind of the benefits, right?
I don't think you're getting enough benefit. I think we want more, but most people want safe, and a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle kind of gets them in the safety zone that they don't realize is actually not. It's not actually benefiting them financially, mainly because of all those other detriments. If you want, basically, if you have a vehicle right now and it's already a hybrid, keep it until a electric vehicle comes along that you really want at the price that you want. That's what I think.
I think people in that kind of range or in that kind of areas like thinking, okay, I don't want to go for EV because I could be driving and there's no EV station. I'm screwed, right? But you've got that gas, combustion engine. I can just go to any gas station if I'm running low on both electric or and gas. So it gives you that safety net, I think. So that's a safety net, yes. Yeah, I think people probably thinking, okay, maybe I'll just go hybrid plug-in. That'll give me kind of trying to get used to into an EV, get myself familiar with the EV.
It's kind of like training wheels for charging, for getting used to charging something, right? I mean,
That's true.
the act of plugging it in when you get home is something that you learn from a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Once you have that action, you figured that out, you're going to be very used to plugging in your fully electric vehicle because you already do it. If you plug it in, you're going to do the same thing for your fully electric vehicle. The only difference is that every morning when you wake up, your tank will be completely full after taking 7 seconds to open your plug-in door and plug it in, and then you walk in your house, right? You don't worry about filling up your vehicle anymore. That's the additional advantage of an EV over a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle because you still need to charge. You still need to fuel it, right?
Fuel it with the gas. Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
I guess
for find a gas station.
I guess for people, in this kind of intermediary kind of stages, it allows them to save on gas, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So kind of that's what hybrid plug-ins about. So let's talk full EVs, right? So you have a full EV And
do.
my brother has actually a full EV Iconic
Yep.
5, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But
Yeah.
full EV, you got all the benefits,
Mhm.
literally no disadvantages because you save you don't need to pay gas anymore.
You don't have to buy gas, and again, we have to recognize that we are a world where we are aware of some
Mhm.
of the issues in other parts of the world. We have to be global citizens where we're looking at
Mm.
everything all at once if we can. It's a lot to take in, but we do see in the news that the grid in California is under supplied because they all of the legislation there is for renewable electricity,
Yeah.
windmills and stuff like that. The only problem is that there is also additional legislation from the other side that doesn't allow additional capacity to come in from other places. I think this is a regional thing. I don't want to get too much into it because this is U.S. Then we have the Texas thing where people are talking about Texas and how people are freezing. Well, that is a island in terms of electricity, right? They only serve themselves. They don't have additional
Like a
suppliers coming in
national
to drive down
grid.
the price. Exactly. It's not
Right.
attached to any national grid.
Right.
I know, weird, huh? So people didn't have to freeze. People did not have to endure that because a decision was made to cut off everything and have these more money
Kind of more
greedy
independent,
people
right?
inside. Yeah.
Okay. But like I said, EVs is gonna. It's like cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah.
You gotta get on there and kind of like find out a little bit more about it. It'll be people jump on to the EV
Yeah.
space. I think it's something that it's gonna be the future, right? No matter
Yeah.
if you like it or not.
Yeah.
If I can save on gas, I think that's definitely a plus.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like queue up in the gas station. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about I'll wait next week until the price drops and I'll go and fill up my tank.
Just plug in your car and go in the house.
Yeah,
That's basically what happens.
The only difference, is maybe the electric bill per unit or per how do they sell
Kilowatt hour.
kilowatt per hour, whatever the cost
kilowatt hour.
is, like cents, right? I mean, they might
Yeah.
increase it whatever cents, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, they're going to go crazy with increasing the electricity bill.
We
Right.
are very fortunate where we live. Our grid in British Columbia is 95% renewables.
Oh, right.
It's done
Hydropower,
from
right?
hydro,
Yeah.
windmill,
Yeah.
and in some cases is biomass.
Biomass,
So they are
yeah.
renewable, like resources all the way across the entire province, which is fantastic.
All right. So telling me what you've done with owning a full electric vehicle and hybrid plug-in as well. You've actually reduced your carbon footprint.
I've
lot.
reduced my carbon footprint, and if you do some of the calculations, like a barrel, what is it again? It's like a barrel. Like I've kept 20 barrels of oil out of the ground.
Oh, there you go.
Per barrel, I think it's like 2,000. I can't remember what it is. It's some enormous number that is like it completely overcompensates for the creation of the battery in the first year.
Yeah.
Because in the second year, it's already good.
Yeah.
Because of the mileage that I drive. But someone else that drives less might take a little bit longer to recoup those carbon benefits, right?
Yeah.
So there is and this is, like I'm not an environmentalist or anything. I understand that we need to clean up after ourselves, but this was not a driving factor in me purchasing an electric vehicle. I simply wanted to save money.
Save money, save the running costs. Yeah.
And I knew that my grid in British Columbia was clean. It's 95% water.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing, like I said, you save on your carbon footprint and you save on the environment, less gas.
Yes.
Save on all that kind of stuff as well. Okay, so the other part I think a lot of people ask, and I think I touched on this last time, is electric vehicles, they use motors, that's fine. Yeah. Batteries is the main thing, right? Right now, I believe these batteries are still lithium based.
Yep.
So lithium mining. Apparently, there's a lot of people going, well, you save on gas and gas production, all that kind of stuff, but also you've actually destroyed the earth by mining lithium. Now, tell us to the audience as well, lithium production, are some of the stuff recyclable, or is it only you have to dig up from the ground and stuff like that, mining the lithium. What's the issue behind that?
One of the most recent discoveries, and this is in Canada's Texas and Alberta, is that they realized that all of the runoff from drilling for oil actually contains lithium.
Oh,
So
really?
they've been extracting lithium. They're working on it right now. They're extracting lithium from the proceeds from the pollution, the polluted water and everything,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then cleaning it, but bringing the lithium with it.
All right. So, like, you got the what do you call it? Like I said, the runoffs,
Yeah.
the
The
pollution
rose
stuff.
water, they call it, I
Yeah,
believe.
and then they
And,
extract the lithium out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
that's
this
one
is a
process.
recent thing. This is
Mhm.
something that they've been working on for a little while now, but this is like, hey, I've drilled all this oil out, but I'm also taking lithium out of every single drill hole
Mhm.
that has leftover and cleaning it at the same time. So this has been an interesting development because this is an industry that is now developing in a place where we love gas, we love oil, but you also love lithium because that's going to create jobs as well too. So you can't ignore the upside is that you can still drill for oil, but you're also getting this at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. And I think a lot of people also don't understand is that the lithium batteries in cars,
Yeah.
are they're not like one of those like Duracell.
You don't throw them away.
You don't throw them
Yeah.
away. There is possible that they can recycle the lithium. I mean,
They do, yeah.
they do. I'm sure they do. And so even with an electric vehicle that's 5-6 years old, the charge like any lithium based products such as a mobile phone, laptops, and that you won't get the 100% charge, right? So like on an iPhone, for example, if you drops below to say they call it 80% charge capacity or whatever, then you can replace the battery.
Yes.
And even with that, the batteries are then kind of recycled in the sense that they take out the burnt cells,
Yes.
right? And they replace it with the new cells. So imagine the battery has 100 cells, right? And maybe 30 of them are burnt out. So therefore, you only get 70% charge.
Yes.
They just replace the 30 burnt cells with new cells, and therefore you can get the battery recycled. So a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand how lithium batteries, when it's broke or doesn't work, they just throw it. No, they don't throw it. They just replace the dead cells.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
one
how it
of the
works.
more nuanced things about lithium ion battery packs from vehicles is the fact that that's actually not what happens. It's actually even better.
Oh, even better?
What happens is that lithium ion battery packs from vehicles are actually repurposed for energy storage because it doesn't matter if they're 70%, like that's it. Energy storage doesn't require them to be at 100%. So in home storage and on premise at organizations, buildings and whatnot, when they're capturing solar energy, wind energy and everything like that, it's used for storage after it's done. Once those cells reach a certain point, like 25%, then they are recycled. But the wonderful thing right now is that, and this is something that Nissan told us, is none of their lithium ion battery packs that are in any operational vehicle has been recycled.
Since production.
They're still in cars.
And we're talking how many years has it been that?
The Leaf came out 12 years ago.
You're telling me a 12-year-old EV is still functioning?
Still functioning. Lesser range.
Yeah.
Lesser range.
So less range, not 100%, but still looking at 90% at least.
They're still in cars. They're still inside vehicles, right? So they haven't gotten to the stage where they have to go to recycling and reclaiming those components, chemistry, metals, and everything like that. They're still not there yet.
And you're probably thinking, well, 12-year-old, I want to replace a new car. Yeah, you do. You place a new car, take the battery out, put it into a new car, right?
When you replace the battery, what happens is that that battery is taken somewhere. It's very precious, right? So it's used for battery backups and everything like that. It's not recycled. It's still
they're repurposed. They're repurposed for other stuff.
Yeah.
Other than vehicles. Okay.
That's right. In Japan, what they do is that every Leaf battery pack, as they come available, they're used as storage for all of their lampposts.
Oh yeah. The lampposts. I see some of them with solar panels on them right now. Yeah. And that makes sense. Okay.
So we're not even there yet. We don't even need to recycle anything quite yet.
Oh, imagine that! Because you think about it. the lampposts, all the lighting, everything, the public lighting. Imagine if they were on the batteries, right?
Yeah.
And that means they can take it. They can take those street lamps off the grid, therefore
Completely.
save electricity, right? Because it's
Completely.
just all solar panel rechargeable. That's
And it only needs to run for 8 hours at night.
At
8 to
night,
9
yeah.
hours. So I mean,
Yeah.
what this makes a lot of sense. It saves every city money. It saves taxpayers money. Why would
that's
you
true.
want
That's
that,
true.
right? Why would you want
Okay.
that? So there's a lot of benefits there. So once it gets to the point where it actually does need to be recycled, and this is kind of the beautiful part, is that recycling plants are already online. They're coming online right now. There's a Canadian company called LI Cycle, which is dedicated to recycling lithium-ion batteries and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're also setting up a U.S. plant around the New Jersey, New York area, and that particular company will be able to recycle every lithium-ion battery to its component basis, so that it can be used in new vehicle batteries. So all the cobalt, all the nickel, all cadmium, nickel, lithium can all be taken away. Nothing is burned or taken away except for the encasing structures, which can also be recycled. But there's some plastics and some resins and everything. Those cannot be recycled. So a battery can be recycled up to, I think the number now is like 95 to 98%.
Wow. Okay, that's
so that's
good.
a lot.
That's good.
Everything
That
gets
is.
used.
Yeah.
Compared to if we want to talk about like some more controversial topics like cobalt. And again, cobalt is actually mined in Australia, China, and I believe Ecuador. All the African mines are now being pushed away because they don't want that stain on their products. Gasoline uses cobalt in the production and refinement of gasoline. It is burned, it will never come back. But a battery, you can retrieve that and use it again in the next battery. Fortunately, we are looking at other options for batteries right now. Tesla themselves are using lithium iron batteries, so Fe. And then there's also lithium sulfur and lithium sodium batteries. They're hopefully going to be coming online in the very near future, along with solid state batteries, which Nissan, I believe, is also pioneering.
Solid state batteries. That sounds interesting.
So that'll be
always like talking like Star Trek with the what do you call it? Dilithium.
You're talking about a battery that doesn't need to wear out.
That's true.
Always it's an amazing technology, and it will continue to develop. Like we're not thinking big enough, because let's just put it this way: in 2005, a $4,000 will buy you a 40-inch 720p LCD. Now, how much is a 43-inch 4K LCD costing?
You can get it for like 40, I don't know,
$250, $300.
Wow.
Right?
That's
We're
true.
not thinking big enough, guys.
Yeah.
We're not really not. And I have to give, some people are like, they're hesitant, right? It's like, what happens if we do this? There's always going to be risk in any technology, but one of the nice things too is that when we send things to space, we send the best, we send the brightest, right?
Right.
And on the moon right now is a buggy powered by a lithium-ion battery. That's a battery electric vehicle. Why didn't they send the Dodge Ram up there?
No, that's true.
Right?
Gas powered one, right? It won't even
Right?
last.
And in case gas, like, why wouldn't they do that, right? Because it is the best technology for that application. Nothing else runs.
Believe it or not, going to space or going to the moon is not some easy feat, because there's a lot of cosmic radiation. There's
What could go wrong?
Minus 200 degrees temperatures. If there's that kind of stuff, and overheat whenever the sun is or not there. So temperature, like plus and minus, like hundreds of degrees, and then your lithium battery is still going on. So it's
facetious about the Dodge Ram thing. I mean, obviously that's not the right application, because there's no oxygen up there. Although some people may believe that maybe they favor EV based on some of the things that we've seen in the media and also on message boards. Some people may still believe that, but I'm telling you that it's not the right application.
Right, it's true. Well, talking about lithium batteries and the charge and everything, not a lot of people are aware that the range and mileage of an EV is considerably less than a gas car. So the different car brands and models are offering varying mileage and ranging mileage. Some can do over 300 miles, while others can only do it at 180. So why is that? I mean, what's the difference between having a electric vehicle that you pay more, like up towards 100,000, that can do like 300 miles range, whereas a 40,000 or 50,000 EV can only do like 180. So where's the difference? What makes that
Well, I think there's a couple of things here. Basically, like way back when, 100 kilometers was a good EV, right?
Right.
100 kilometers
right.
was great. This is 12 years ago, right? Actually 15, because you count the Mitsubishi Miev, which is like that weird looking vehicle. That was great. Unfortunately, people expect more. They want to be able to take one vehicle and do most things with it. If it fits their lifestyle 90% of the time, that's a good vehicle, right? So we're talking about the average range of an electric vehicle rolling off the lot today. It is actually 280 miles.
That's the kind of range that you get.
It's the range you get, right? Depending on circumstances like weather, cold does affect it, but you're only losing about 10, maybe 20% with a heat pump. And most modern EVs have heat pumps, and they have battery management systems that heat and cool the battery depending on when it's needed for optimal operation. This is something that 10, 12 years ago, least that have batteries that have had issues, they didn't have that. That's why the range has decreased so much in those vehicles. My real world, 1 year later, on my 36,000 kilometer battery, I still have 100% state of health.
Right.
That was tested. That's exactly what the printout said.
So when you say the range, is it because improvement on the battery technology, or is it improvement on the motor? How it uses that?
Everything. It's it's the motor can be more smaller, more efficient, and use less electricity. There's one way to do it. The batteries can be denser, bigger. Right. And then you also have aerodynamics and also the weight of the vehicle, right? EVs have a bit of a downside. They are a little bit heavier, but now that the vehicles have gotten a lot lighter, the deficit is not more than maybe a few hundred pounds, if even, right? So I mean, that's a talking point, but it's becoming less and less of an issue versus the Leafs of the past. Like if you park a Leaf beside a Micra 12 years ago, holy
that's
crap.
True. That's true, because when I talked to the Mini salesperson and full electric Mini, and the range was maximum 180.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, why is that? Well, it's because it's a smaller car.
It is. The battery, right?
The battery's smaller in the Mini versus a Tesla. The Model S,
it's big vehicle,
it's big vehicle, dual motors, and it's got a bigger battery. It can go up to like 400 miles range, which you're paying more for the car, more battery, and you're paying two motors to drive the car. So it makes sense. Okay, so with that, then let's talk a little bit about performance. So I've heard of EVs can be pretty fast. From acceleration from 0 to 60, and I can confirm that because my brother drives an Hyundai like Ioniq 5. And boy, when he hits that foot on the accelerator, it goes really fast.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So you talk about the range between for up to 280, 250 miles for a standard car, and possibly 300 to 400 for a bigger, more premium car.
And for reference, just so that everyone knows, is that the median gas vehicle in North America has a range of about 400 miles.
Right.
650 kilometers.
Full tank gas.
Full tank of gas, right? Yeah. That's the median. And this is basically because the median includes the largest vehicles, because we're SUV skewed.
Oh, right.
That's why. Most passenger vehicles, you're looking at under 500 kilometers.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Right? So to give you perspective, because you asked that, is that the fuel tank, the battery inside of a modern EV on the higher end side. Let's give you an example. The Lucid Air. The Lucid Air is a $100,000 EV, but this is technology that will trickle down to other vehicles as well too, because they're working on making the efficiency go. It has a range of 521 miles. So 521 miles is, I believe, that's 860 kilometers.
That's
right.
That's quite a lot, right?
That's more than a gas vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So those exist, and its charging times, because this is something that people talk about, is that it will go from 0 to 80% in 46 minutes, but it will also recover 640 kilometers of range.
Oh yeah, it's true.
roughly.
Yeah. I mean, performance is always on everyone's lips because people say, oh yeah, it's fast acceleration,
It
but
is
then
fast.
what about the top speed especially if you're on a highway, right? Because
Yeah.
my brother's saying like the Iconic 5, when you hit the highway, you're hitting maximum 100 miles an hour. That's it. You can't. It doesn't go any faster unless, you go for the sport mode or you go to the bigger models where you have dual motors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you look at, is that kind of the range, the top speed that you get from an EV? What's your top speed on yours?
One of the things about North American highways is that none of them are faster than 130 kilometers an hour. I've only seen 120.
Right.
I've only seen 120. My vehicle, unofficially, will go 172.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right?
That's
Under
fast.
its own power, flat, all the way up. Your brother's Ionic 5 will do 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.2 seconds, which is exactly the same as mine.
So it's literally because of the battery,
It's the
the
torque.
motor,
It's the torque.
the torque.
It's all about
Yeah,
torque,
yeah.
right?
That's true.
It's all about torque. However, as I've learned in many of my road trips, because I go for 1,000 to 2,000 kilometer road trips through the Canadian Rockies, which can get cold, right? I'm going in remote areas that have DC fast chargers because we are a very lucky region of the world where we have BC Hydro dams everywhere, and we have these chargers in the middle of nowhere in national parks. I've learned through my driving that my vehicle is happiest when it's driving around 100 kilometers an hour. So I will do the speed limit in order to go faster. The reason why I say that is because when I get to the next charger, I don't have to charge as often. I don't have to charge as much.
Yeah, my brother did say that. He said that there's no point going faster than like 120, whatever.
Yeah.
The sweet spot, like you said, because he went to all these forums and all these help, communities and that. And he says a lot of people drive around that between 90 to 100 kilometers per hour because that's a sweet spot where you get less usage on the battery.
That's right.
You're getting good speed, and then
efficiency is
efficiency.
optimal.
Yeah, the efficiency, like in the power supply, you have the efficiency curve, right?
That's right.
so
you have
that's a sweet spot. And then he says, "Oh, okay, all I need to do now when you get home is less charging time, and therefore less charge on the electricity."
For me on a road trip, if I am able to deplete my battery to 18% and I can charge to 80% or 70% more often, because after 70%, the curve of charging drops off and speed drops off. All the way up with the 70%, I get maximum charge speed. So I want to get to my destination with as much charge or optimal amount of depletion as much as possible, charge as fast as I can and get going. And to go from 18% to 70%, that's maybe 23 minutes. But to get to 80%, it's actually over 40.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't understand that battery is not what you used to think as a battery. When the old gas cars, right, you have a 12-volt battery, which you need to operate at 12 volts, right? And people replace that and whatever. These batteries are electronically controlled. They have their own computers and stuff like that. Yep. And one interesting thing that I found out with my brother's car is like, he says, okay, Iconic 5, Hyundai's got a new firmware. Yeah. So he he hooked up onto the dashboard, and it was literally over-the-air firmware update on the car. Yeah. And what that firmware did was improved on battery performance, motor performance, everything about the car is improved. So imagine that. It's like a computer. You can upgrade the firmware and improve on any performance issues, fix any bugs. Yep. You can't do that on a gas car.
And credit where credit is due. That's a Tesla innovation. Tesla created the over-the-air update so that you wouldn't even need to see a service center, which makes service centers unhappy because they can charge you for diagnostic time and upgrading the firmware during your visit. So it makes it unnecessary to go to your Kia dealership or your Hyundai dealership because, I can just download it and just flash my firmware, right?
Yeah,
I can do that, right? Unless something goes horribly wrong. In most cases, they don't want that. So there's a bunch of redundant steps that you do to flash your vehicle so nothing happens unless you're completely not literate in that, in which case I do recommend that you go to see your service dealer. It'll just create less hassles for you. So, I mean, so many benefits in that respect. Yes, and you're right. No gas vehicle allows you to do an over-the-air update unless it's for like your dash, like your entertainment system. That's the only way.
Yeah, the onboard entertainment system, the infotainment system, plus I think GPS. GPS
maps,
went,
right? So I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, the performance, yes, it goes fast. It goes fast very quickly. It drives at a certain range very efficiently. But we also need to realize that the EV has no gearbox.
That's true. It doesn't.
Right?
It hasn't got.
It's one speed, one gear. Now imagine. And this is something that people are pondering, is that because there's so much torque in the motor, if a gearbox can be introduced with a second gear, would that not increase your efficiency? Because the torque and the efficiency of that second gear would allow it to work even better, right? So, things are progressing very quickly. This is something that I know people are working on. I know that. But when will we see them on the road? It might take a couple of years for it to actually even happen. This might be something for a supercar, because once you crank it into the overdrive gear, holy crap, it's like 300 miles per hour.
That's it. Talking about supercars, you heard of the Tesla, is it called Plaid or Plaid? Plaid S, whatever they call it.
For those people that don't know, Plaid comes from a movie called Spaceballs.
Really?
Because they go from light speed to something speed to something speed, and then the ultimate speed. Oh my God, they've gone Plaid. That's the fastest possible speed you can go. So that's where it comes from.
Now,
watch it. Good movie.
Yeah, that's true. What about when I'm talking about the performance issue and supercars and things like that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if other car brands have actually done it, but I know that Tesla offer a really high-end one with 2 motors. Now, tell the audience of 1 motor versus 2 motors. Of course, 2 motors will probably be faster, but are there any real benefits apart from being faster than having 2 motors? Because you have 2 motors, you're going to be having 2 sets of batteries that power those motors, and therefore using more juice on the battery, right?
You have parasitic loss on the second motor because it's being dragged. Right?
That's true.
But regeneration will be a lot better because you have both motors recapturing the electricity.
Yeah. So your car, for example, is a single motor, right? Most electric vehicles are single motors.
Front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive in the Ford Mach-E, in the Ioniq 5 long-range rear-wheel drive, in the EV6 rear-wheel drive. It has the motor centered to the back, whereas the all-wheel drive versions of them cost a little bit more money. I think it's worth it to have that traction in Canada, but if you are in places where it's like sunny and 100 degrees out, well, you should be buying the single motor version because you'll get more range. You'll also be happier with the performance because there's no drag on the drivetrain, right? And you're going to get a decent amount of regen. Again, the regen that you get on an all-wheel drive is probably marginal because you're never going to recapture 100% of braking energy, but it's there.
Yeah. And then moving on quickly about new and used. So my wife recently inquired about the EV, and she was asked if there are any available, and the answer we got, of course, is no, maybe sometime next year at the end of 2023. I've got any reason why? It's because of the chip shortage? Is it because of production issues, or is it just what's going on there?
Well, you have to look at the demand all of a sudden spiked. Whenever there is a huge spike in demand, you have factories, brands, and supply chains that are stressed because now their projections, they have to throw them away. They didn't have enough parts to supply the supply chain. So right now as it stands, every brand is building as many EVs as possible because they can't fulfill the orders. Everyone wants one, right? Everyone that says that people don't want an EV, it's mainly because that's fine. They don't want one, but there are people that do.
Yeah. Well, as I said, there's such a long waiting list and delivery times. I was thinking, would it be worth, getting a second hand or used EVs? But, what the price you're looking at is just ridiculous.
Well, right now as it stands, it's basically the NVIDIA GeForce market of EVs. So people are buying them to flip them. So even if someone gets their EV, drives it for 120 kilometers and flips it, they will make a $10,000 profit by flipping it because people are desperate to get a new electric vehicle that has few kilometers. Now, you don't get the rebate from the government.
From the used one.
Bought it. Yeah, no rebate for a used one, right?
Oh.
So you don't get that. You don't get that. You get no PST and GST because it's used.
Yeah.
Or actually, PST. You don't get PST charged if
it's a used car. Okay,
that's
used
right.
vehicle.
So you get a little bit of that back, but it's not enough to recuperate that $10,000 premium, right? So should you buy used? That's a good question. How desperate are you? Because a lot of these vehicles are basically flipped on the same lot by maybe even salespeople.
Yeah, that's right. I saw the same model ID4 in the showroom. It's a 2021 model, fully kitted out with all the options. Retail price MSRP I think it was 59,000. Right.
Yeah.
On the sales side, it was 89,000. I'm thinking, is this a misprint? But no. If you want it now, you can drive it away right now, but it'll cost you 89,000.
Yes. Flip is what people are
crazy.
doing. Yeah, like it's ridiculous, and the market, like let's just give you perspective.
Right.
I bought my first EV, which was actually a Chevrolet Bolt. It was a 2017 model. It had barely any kilometers on it, less than 20,000 kilometers on it.
How much you buy it for?
Good. I bought that vehicle for $28,000.
And you sell it for?
I traded it in for? I traded it in at the time for my new vehicle for $23,000.
So you literally didn't really lose much at all.
$5,000 was less than the amount I saved in electricity, gas, and maintenance. So it was a wash, right? My next vehicle now has 0% interest.
So your vehicle right now, which you're driving now?
I'm driving a 2020 Kia Niro EV.
Niro EV. So the price that you say was like minus all the rebates. You're looking at 44. You say?
That was the base model when it was available. Right now, the most common model to buy is the SX Touring, which is the top trim.
Right.
Worth it because it has the heated seats and the cool seats.
All the trimmings, Okay.
Worth it. Just get that one if you
but the car that you have right now hasn't really lost any of its value. You can actually
increased in value.
You increased in value, so you can actually sell it and make profit on it because there's so much demand for EVs right now that even if you sell it used, you're still going to make a profit. That's just that's nuts.
It's crazy. It's nuts. And unfortunately, this is how the free market works, is that when there's a specific need and there's scarcity and people want those vehicles, you're going to get people that are going to take advantage of them, the arbitrage between the MSRP and what people are willing to pay to have that item today, right? So it's gonna be the way it is for at least a little while until factories are set up to fulfill the demand of people wanting it. But actually, to be perfectly honest, it's not such a bad thing to have this delay, because most roadmaps for rolling out EV charging stations were based on original estimates. So your DC fast charging stations, they're going to need to catch up faster now, as people are now showing great interest in having an EV in their home, maybe as a second vehicle.
Definitely. Yeah. So, with that, I think that's a wrap. We talked quite a lot about EVs, pricing, the difference between hybrids and full EVs. We talked about performance, the range, and of course, whether to get used or new. Well, gas prices will always fluctuate to the upside. And this could be, a good enough reason to get yourself an EV. So if you have any questions about EV, regards to EVs, please let us know. I'm sure Stephen will be glad to help. Any final thoughts, Stephen?
Right now, as it stands, if you want an EV, get on a reservation list. Get on the queue, right? Yeah. One of the nice things is that a lot of dealers will take your deposit anywhere between 300, 500. Some are charging 1,000, so watch out for those dealers.
And it's refundable as well. Yeah.
They're all refundable. So if you want to put that money out now on a couple different choices, it's worthwhile. You might get your EV in 6 months, a year, even 2 years, as people decide that they don't want that one. They want this one. So they'll get their money back and you'll get your chance in line.
That's right.
That's what I recommend. So if you don't have one right now, if you don't have any in line to that, go to a trusted dealer, read the reviews first, because they'll tell you how trustworthy they are, and you'll deal with them. Pick out an EV and put your deposit down. See if they'll let you test drive one. See if you can, even on Turo,
Yeah.
rent one for the weekend and make sure that that's something you want before you put that deposit down. I find that a lot of people, the first time that they drive an EV, they're extremely excited because, wow, the performance and everything. But at the same time, there's a little bit of care and maintenance. And I think that we can even talk about that in an entirely new show, because I've done a lot of EV road trips and there are some quirks that you need to know about. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so I think that we had a good session there with the EVs, and we could revisit. So where can we find you, Stephen, if we wanted to ask you questions about EV?
yeah, if you want to yell at me or troll me or do all the other things that a lot of the EV people, EV lovers, and the EV anti-EV people like to talk about, you can find me at Stephen Fung on Twitter and also at Stephen Fung on Instagram. What about you, Winston?
Yeah, you can also find me at Instagram at Winston Chim, and also at Twitter at Winston Chim. Most to do with like lifestyle stuff, including EVs and other things. So
You can also yell at him.
yeah, yell at me. All right, so it's a great session. Stay tuned for our next podcast, and of course, every week, and I think every Wednesday, right?
Every Wednesday, and we're going into season 3. This is the last episode of season 2. So that means we're hitting our 21st official episode of the podcast the next time you see us.
That's right. And we've had other special podcasts, special ones from like
Techtober.
Samsung. Yeah,
November has been really good to us, but officially, it's going to be number 21 coming up next.
21. All right. It's been great. So thank you, and do support us and subscribe. And until next time, this is our podcast show with Stephen and I, Winston.
Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.